Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I've got for you something that I've been saying in all of my previous videos, my Kampfpanzer 50T tank review. From this point on, I'm not American, but I'm going to be calling it the KPZ 50T, or just the KPZ, just because I'm not saying Kampfpanzer 50T too many times, because I will get shouted at by German people for pronouncing it very, very wrong. And probably bringing great shame and dishonour to their people or something. I don't know. I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm just crap. That's the way it works. Now, like I say, we're going to be doing a tank review on the Kampfpanzer 50T. In this tank review, I'm going to be going through the stats of the vehicle, comparing it to others, showing you the armour, blah, 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 blah. Going through the equipment you should use and everything like that. Whether I think this tank is a good tank or not, I'm not going to say whether I'd recommend getting it or not, because I'm not sure how you're going to be able to get it. And then there'll be some Ace Tanker gameplay at the end. If you're only interested in the gameplay, I'll put a time in the description. Just click through to that, and that will take you through to what am I trying to say? Take you through to the what time the gameplay is. Come on, Max. English. It's your first language. Some people use it as like their fourth, and they're better than you. Good job. Anyway, the KPZ 50T. What is this thing all about? Now, I'm pretty sure it's a blueprint design, one of the projects of a medium tank that was developed in Germany in the 1960s. It's quite a modern tank then. The vehicle was supposed to feature a powerful gun and decent armour, however the development was discontinued at the documentation design stage. So what I'm hearing is this didn't even make it to blueprint, so they literally are pulling tanks out of their places now. I honestly don't mind. I just like the fact that they're still adding tanks into the game, in all honesty. Now, this thing is a reward. This is a tier 9 reward tank, and it was a reward for the, in inverted commas, 2019 series of ranked battles. I say in inverted commas because the last season only finished about 2 weeks ago. It took us a little while, and then we got our reward. So I'm going to say, you know, would I recommend this tank or not in this video at some point? And I don't actually know if you're going to be able to get this tank again. I don't know if it's going to be a standard thing that this is the ranked reward tank. I hope it's not, from my personal point of view, because I hope that they bring out a new one each time. But I don't know if this will be, you know, a standard reward or something like that. Anyway, we're just going to jump over into Tanks GG now. We're going to go through the stats of the vehicle and compare it to some others, and I'll also show you the armour view as well. Now, just before we get into the armour, the Tanks GG, guys, I just wanted to show you quickly over on WhatLife here. I use WhatLife all the time. Just on the EU server statistics, how well this tank is actually doing at the minute. And it actually, at this moment in time, has got the highest WNA, average WNA, across all of the players playing it, of any tank on the server, by a huge amount to like the 907 and things like that. The reason for that, obviously, it's only, at the minute, this is probably one of my rarest tanks actually, 4,792 players playing it, or have played it, because I'm assuming just not a lot of people have played rank or committed to ranked for a long period of time. But yeah, so it's just to show you guys, A, how many people have got it, and B, what kind of stats it's coming out as, and it's coming out pretty well. But obviously that could be just purely because it is my rarest tank as well, just looking, purely because, you know, it's a small numbers game, and all the people who got it are some of the best players on the server, because obviously finishing high up in ranked more times than just the one-off. Anyway, into Tanks GG, we've got the KPZ on the left just here. Compares rather nicely to the T55A as well, just because obviously it's the other very inverted commas here. German tier 9 reward medium tank. The T54, which is strangely familiar to the T55. And then also the Object 430, just because I think, playstyle-wise, we're kind of similar-ish. So, straight off the bat, the KPZ has a 105mm gun, which is actually unique to this comparison, because all of the other tanks have 100mm or 122mm, because they're all Russian. T55A, sort yourself out. I don't want it to be Russian, I quite like it being German, but still, you know. So it has 320 damage, so for my 105mm gun, I have the same average damage as the 100mm guns. Okay. Still, I don't really mind. 320 is quite a nice alpha. However, the DPM is slightly on the low side, something that I really don't like, and I do feel quite a lot in this tank. I'm like, come on, fire! Fire! Which I think is just something, because I'm used to playing the T55 and the T54, and they obviously have very good DPM. It's just that reload just feels a lot nicer on the other two tanks. However, that is made up for by probably two of the most outstanding features on this tank, and that is A, the standard penetration, 268. You very rarely need the premium rounds in this tank. Oh, I'm not going to be able to do it. Which are 310mm penetration heat rounds, so not quite as good as the 54 or the 55, but you don't need to fire them that much, because 268 on the standard rounds, holy moly, you can go through most things. And also the other ridiculously outstanding thing on this tank here, especially in comparison to the rest, the standard shell velocity of 1,478 meters a second. It's like your tier 10 105, it's like your M48 patterns, your Action 10s. That's the kind of characteristics this gun has got, with the exception of the alpha damage. The tank carries a nice, decent ammo capacity of 50, which means you can, splash your shells around. It's not ridiculously restricted, something that the 55A, I didn't realise, has actually got very limited shells. Now, onto the gun handling, 2 seconds aim time, very nice. 0.33 dispersion, same as the T55A, very nice. The tank does get let down a little bit by the gun dispersion values, just because I don't know why they've balanced it like this, and you do kind of feel it. It is kind of annoying. But then that is made up for by the fact that this tank gets 8 degrees of gun depression, which is a lot nicer than the 5 or 6 of the other vehicles in this comparison. Now, on to speed. This tank is, I would say, slightly more on the sluggish side, although it goes 60 kilometers an hour, and that's really good. So when you're going on flat ground, solid terrain, or down a hill slightly, really nice. 60 kilometers an hour, you can hear that is pretty good. Engine power of 900 horsepower with a 50 ton tank means that you're rocking 18 horsepower per ton, which is, it's not terrible, not by any stretch of the imagination. It's almost as good as the T54s and the T55A, but it can feel a little bit sluggish at times when you're going uphill. However, the fact that this tank weighs 50 tons means you can ram things quite nicely. You really can ram tanks in this, and when other medium tanks decide to ram you, you just go, okay then, come on, or light tanks especially, you can absolutely smush them into the sides of buildings and things. It's great. Now the tank is kind of let down compared to the other tanks in this comparison. Terrain resistances aren't ideal. Turret traverse, a lot lower than the rest, and the tank traverse as well is a lot lower than the rest, airing it more towards kind of a heavy tank rather than a medium tank in that regard. Armor we'll come on to in a second. 1750 hit points, pretty good, nice decent slug of health, and 400 meters view range, which is the highest in this comparison and is also quite nice. Shell cost is low in comparison to the 55A and the 54, but is actually quite high when you compared to most other tanks when you consider that, like, for example, the 430 does 390 average damage on 840 credits, as opposed to this only does 320 on 1130. But it's not too bad. I would like to point out at this point as well that the KPC does not make extra credits. It's not a tier 9 premium tank. It literally is just a reward tank, just like any other tank in the game, like the 55A, the 260, anything like that. Now, onto the armor of this tank, and I do really like this model, actually. If we go on the visual model, it's actually quite a cool model. You get all this camo net and stuff. This isn't a 3D skin, this is just what the tank comes to. You've got this AA mount on it, kind of at 45 degrees, which is a bit funky, but I do kind of like this model, and again, you can obviously have a look at it back in the garage. Now, that's not what we're interested in. We're interested in the armor of this thing, and if I go on the live armor view, so this is as if I was firing at the tank with 268mm of penetration, the gun that this tank has got, and you can see the armor is actually pretty good. The turret is a nice beefy turret, not quite as good as the Russian tanks. I would say it's slightly less sloped, and especially if someone's above you, they can really hit like the top of your turret, but it's still pretty decent. Unless you've got tier 10s or tier 9s firing premium rounds at you, your turret will hold up. So a way to take this tank out if you are shooting at it, if you've got its turret at a slight bit of an angle and you've got premium rounds loaded, you can go straight through next to the gun. The closer to the gun, the better. But other than that, it's a pretty decent turret. You are going to bounce some rounds. It has got a tiny bit of a weak spot at the front here, behind this, I think it's like an optic port or something. And from the front, you can't actually see the AA mount. You would do incredibly well to hit it from there. You'd have to be slightly above it and be able to hit it, but then, you know, upper plate. The upper plate on the flat ground is actually a pike nose, so standard pike nose rules apply. If you're angling a little bit, people are going to pen it, so you kind of want to go, like, hug enemies that haven't got good gun depression and go in at them straight on, and your upper plate is actually very, very good. Around about 300mm of effective without angled. Range, pretty nice on flat ground. If you are slightly above the tank, it does become a lot weaker, and obviously if you go to the side, it is a lot weaker. It is 120mm thick. The only issue with the fact that the upper plate is so well angled is it's got to join the lower plate somewhere, and that means the lower plate is a lot bigger, and it is a very fat lower plate. It's not like the T55A and T54, where it's almost the upper plate and the lower plate are very similar angles, so it's kind of like, oh, I don't know which one to shoot. In this, very clear, please shoot me here. This lower plate is huge, and even if you're above the tank shooting down at it, you have to literally be here before it's going to cause you any kind of an issue, and that's when you can just shoot through the upper plate. The side armor and rear armor are absolute trash. I think the side armor is 40mm thick, so anything with 121 millimeter caliber gun or higher can overmatch it, and the rear is even lower, 20mm. So if Artie is looking at this thing, especially if it's looking away from you and Artie's looking at you, you're going to have a bad day. You are going to get penned by Artie from the rear, but from the front, it's not too shabby. Like I said, 310mm heat round as well. So yeah, that's all you need to know about the tank. Now let's jump back into the garage. I'll just go through the equipment quickly and how I'd set the tank up, and then we will go for... what are we going to go for? I'll let you know whether this tank is any good or not. Let's go. Right, jumping back into the garage, we can see the beautiful model of this tank. Like I say, you can put a camouflage on underneath it. I don't know if you can see the camouflage that I've got on. You can change it around. I'll chuck something else on quickly. Look at that. Looks quite cool. Looks pretty cool. But yeah, it's a really pretty model. Like I said, this viewport is a weak spot that you can shoot through, just to give you an idea of what the visual part of the model is actually like to look at. Now, crew skills, I'm honestly not going to go through crew skills. I've gone through them 1,000 times. Just go look at one of my older tank reviews. Go look at a T55A video, something like that. It's fairly simple. If you're new to the game and you don't really know crew skills by now, you're not going to have this tank, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. And I think everybody who does get this tank is going to know how to set up a crew for it, even though you're not going to be using a Kampfpanzer 50T crew in it, because it can fit a Leopard crew in it quite nicely, which is all good. Now, equipment-wise, you're going to want to use pretty standard gun rammer, vert stabs, and optics. There is an argument that can be made for swapping optics out for vents, and in all honesty, I'm kind of tempted to. I might play a couple more games as is, and then if I feel like it, I may swap it out for optics. For vents. I feel like it could do with the extra little boost of DPM, aim time, everything like that. But then having the 479 meters view range is also quite nice. I have got this tank equipped with chocolate. The engine has got quite a low chance to be set on fire, 12% chance, and the fuel tanks aren't anywhere. I don't think they're anywhere that are, it's not like the 55A where they're right in the front, or like a Russian tank. So it's not too bad. Also, after I've got camo on this crew, I'm going to have firefighting as well. So the point is really, it doesn't matter too much anyway. And yeah, that's basically everything you need to know about the KPZ 50T. Now, would I recommend this tank? Like I said, if you ever can get hold of it again in the future. I actually think it is quite a good tank. My win rate in it is quite low. It started really good, but last night I was playing quite trash. But my average damage in it is honestly quite good. Nearly 3,000 in a tier 9 tank is very good indeed. Yeah, this thing's pretty good. The only things that I would say, like it's points that I think let it down slightly is the low alpha damage and low DPM combo. I feel for having 320 average damage, its DPM should be a lot higher. Like if we put my crew in the 55A, for example, 2,900 in the KPZ, it's 2,800. I actually thought it was a lot more different than that. Oh, it's because I'm running Prince as usual. But it still honestly feels a little bit low. It feels the tank's play style and the way you play it, it feels like when you hit something, you should hit it for 390. I think it might just be my experience with obviously a 105, 268 standard pen and the shell velocity and the characteristics of the gun. I feel like I should be hitting for 390, 400 or something like that, not 320. But all of that beside, it is a good tank, it is a good all-round tank, and honestly one of, at the moment, my favourite tanks at tier 9, which is always good. But yeah, there we go. That is the KPZ 50. That is my opinion on it. Now let's jump into the gameplay. Just before we do, if you've made it this far in the video, you clearly don't hate me that much, and you clearly can stand me, which is more than most of my family. So please consider subscribing. If you're subscribed, not subscribed, Auntie Jackie, Sisters, Brothers Boy, I don't care. Give the video a like if you've enjoyed it. And turn notifications on as well if you want to know when I'm uploading. Other than that, let's go jump into the gameplay. So, into the gameplay, guys, and I will just warn you very early on, whether you've watched the whole tank review or you've just skipped to the gameplay at the end here, this is not the fastest starting game of all time. It's quite a slow starting game. I don't do a massive amount at the start of the game. Now, there are two reasons for that. First things first, our EBR that you can see there in F7, right at the start of the game, said, I'm going to rush and spot everything. He hasn't rushed and spotted everything. In a way, it's good, because it means, you know, he's not dead. But I'm assuming he got spotted by the EBR that we see there. And it's discouraged him from going and spotting everything. Now, the other reason for me not going massively ham at the start of the game here is because I think about the 3 games previous to this game, I went massively ham at the start and only did about 1,700 damage each time, and I was trying to keep my average damage a little bit higher in this tank. You're also going to see at the start of this game one of the more annoying things about the KPZ, and that is its gun handling. Like when you're moving and stuff, the aim circle does bloom quite a lot. Fire at the STB. We do set him on fire. STRV. We do set him on fire, which is quite nice. But then he goes behind a building again. But like I say, I was just trying to just chill a bit more this game. You can see that once the tank is actually aimed, it's not too bad in terms of accuracy. Like, the aim time's not terrible. I'm not saying it's like, you know, an ISU or something like that. And the shell velocity is absolutely beautiful. But like I said, at the very start of this game, it's quite a slow starter. It's quite a slow starter, but this is an ace tanker game, so, you know, I have to do something at some point. I'm not just having you all on. Please believe me. Now, we are on, I should probably mention, we are on Lakeville. It is a standard battle. My T-54E1 has gone very ham in the valley, and I feel like that Super Conqueror is going to have something to say about that. We spot a 60 TP in the middle. Unfortunately, I don't really look at him in time. And our team's kind of 2-1 down, but like I said, I'm just chilling. It's because I was kind of, not necessarily going tilt, but, you know, when you're playing water tanks for a while, you're not doing quite as well as you feel you should, and you go chasing results. You feel like you have to do all of the damage in the first 3 minutes of the game. And you go in, go ham, and die, and go, well, I should have done 6,000 damage in that time, blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't know if you guys do it, but I do it. So I was just, this was a game that I was consciously thinking, sit further back, just wait, let the game develop and see what happens. And this is what I need to do more. When I play like this, head so far up on arse, massive big head, but I think I'm a really, really, really good player. The reason my stats are not higher is because I then combine that with, like I just said to you, the oh my god, must do all of the damage within the first 3 minutes of the game. I do that a lot. Now, Leopard prototype, he gets unspotted, he's moving that way. I do fire, and the shell didn't hit him, we saw it explode. But you can see just the shell velocity, bloody lovely on this tank. And like I say, because you've got that 268 pen, it's really, really nice. Okay, 60 TP, and it's almost like he knew. Now, I'm not spotted here, so this is not him spotting me and being like, well, I'm gonna move. But it's almost like he knows exactly where I'm aiming at him, and he's just like, no, I'm just gonna tease you. I'm not actually gonna let you shoot me. I'm just gonna tease you. And then he does go forwards, and we do get a nice shot in. I think I get spotted, but fortunately for me, I don't. Next shot, he gets tracked, and I have no idea where that shell went. I felt like that should have got him. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna keep shooting at 60 TP at that kind of range. Let's move in and see what we can do. Now, this tank is kind of similar in a way compared to the 55A. Oh, no, actually, not even compared to the 55A. It's really weird. It feels like it should be more of a brawler because it's got the front armor, it's got this, it's got that. But then at the same time, the gun characteristics, it feels like it should be more of a sniper. It's a really confusing tank. I do like it. I do think it's a really good tank. It is kind of confusing at times. And I don't know, I just feel like when you put shots in like that, I feel like it should be doing more damage, not 286. I don't know what I'm doing with my aim circle there. Picking up our second kill of the game on a 60 TP. Now, zooming out here, looking around the corner, Siege is fired. Put one in. And then, this is what I say about the DPM. I'm zooming out here, looking around the corner, making sure that he's not looking at me, because I really don't want to take 750 damage from this guy when I don't need to, when it's not necessary. We can just sit, poke, and he's fired now, so I know that I can just go out. Aim for the drive wheel. I don't know why I aim for the drive wheel, it's just habit, I suppose. We do take a hit from Artie, which is kind of frustrating. Puts us at 877 health, but it's not too bad. And we do bounce around from the 263, which is very lucky, actually. He must have hit my front of my turret, because there's absolutely no way he hit my side hull, because he would have overmatched it. We see the bat chat. No, we can't. He gets hit by Artie. He looks like he's trying to run away. Can we get a shot in as he runs away? Oh, he's not actually running away. He's coming right towards us. Well, we need to get this bat chat out. Aim. He fires on the move. Fortunately, he just tracks me. I'm assuming that shot went low, so it actually went below the hull of my tank. STRV, and this hasn't been a bad game. 5 kills, not too shabby. 3k damage, not too shabby. I'd like a bit more, but we're not done yet. We're gonna win this game. It's 10-8. We've got complete map control. Their 263 is in trouble. Their STRV has run away, but not far enough. I'm still here, STRV. Put one into the STRV. He's not even bothering moving. And can we high roll? Yeah, we high roll by 5 to finish him off. It just saves me 7 seconds of my time, near enough. I think my reload on this tank is about 6.7 seconds. Like I say, I'm debating or not whether to swap the optics out for vents. I really don't know, because you can use massive view ranging to your advantage, like incredibly well, because you've got such an accurate gun in that, and that then helps having the view range as opposed to the DPM. But then at the same time, it's kind of like, well, it's kind of like DPM. Now, I honestly thought once I killed that STRV, I thought that was it for the game. It wasn't. You can see here at the aim time, it's not bad, but it's not amazing. T49, I thought was going to kill Artie, but we managed to kill Artie. The Bat Chat artillery kills the enemy Super Conqueror. Now it's just the Type 5. I'm like, oh god, I want to get there before the Emil inevitably unloads a clip straight into the back of his tank, or the grill moves up, does 750 damage to him. I have no idea how much health he's on. I think he's still all the way over there. And oh god, there's a Type 4 heavy right there. Go for the Cupola. He bounces off my upper plate. I assume it's off either off my upper plate or off my turret. And like I say, you have actually got pretty decent frontal armor on this thing if you can hide the lower plate, especially as he's shooting up at me, as we saw in the armor viewer. I am loading heat here. I am quite lucky because I'm pretty sure that's the Emil 2 firing HE. And we're just putting shots in, and I get incredibly lucky again that the T49 fires a shot into the heavens as opposed to shooting the Type 4 heavy. And I was convinced that the curse of Max and the Radley Walters was going to happen again, and I was going to get the kill stolen from me right at the end. But we do pick up our 8th kill. taking us up to 5,245 damage that we saw. I honestly can't remember if I hit any blind shots, but we shall see in the post-game stats in just a second. And yeah, there you go. That is the KPZ 50. Really, really good game. I'd like to have done a bit more damage this game. Like I say, I did faff quite a lot at the start, but you never know that if you'd have gone straight in, would it have then meant that I'd have died earlier on, I'd have lost more health. Who knows, but still, that was a really, really good game. Anyway, like I said before, I hope you have enjoyed the video. Oh, we'll go check out the post-game stats in just a second, but standard YouTuber crap alert. Please give the video a like, subscribe, blah, 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 notifications, yeah. Let's go look at the post-game stats. So, there we go, guys. Not a bad game in the KPZ at all. We didn't, unfortunately, hit any blind shots. I wasn't sure if we hit the EBR blind or something at the start of the game. I honestly didn't know. That was an ace tanker, which is nice. Radley Walters medal as well for getting the 8 kills. An Oskins medal for destroying 3 enemy tanks or tank destroyers within a medium tank in 1 game, 1 tier higher. That's quite a cool medal to get, and also, obviously, a Top Gun. Finished top on our team on damage, 5,245 damage, 8 kills, and 1,437 base XP. I'm assuming because that was a lot of the tanks that I killed and did damage to were higher tier. Obviously, same tier or higher because that was a tier 8, tier 9 game. We fired 27 shots, hit 22, and pen 20. So like I say, most of the shots that you hit, you are going to pen, just because the high standard penetration and premium penetration of this tank. Well, premium penetration is not high relative, but it's still high penetration. But the accuracy did let us down a bit at the start as well. We did 572 assisted. Like I say, this tank is not a tier 9 premium tank. There aren't any in the game as far as I'm aware. So we do not make bonus credits. Therefore, we did make a fairly hefty loss because we do use premium consumable on this tank, and we did fire a bit of heat there at the end. But yeah, on that is the KPZ 50, guys. I know not a lot of you, not a huge amount of you will probably ever get to see this tank, or probably won't get to own this tank. I honestly don't know whether it will be available again in the future. If it does, I'd recommend it. I think it's a good tank. I think it's always a good tank to pick up. And obviously, if you're a tank collector like me, you just want all of the tanks you can possibly get. But yeah, it is quite nice at the minute having a tank that is quite rare. Like I said, only, what did I say, 4,900 people actually own this tank, which is always nice. And yeah, on that, thank you so much for watching, guys. Please give the video a like if you've enjoyed. Subscribe if you can put up with me, which clearly you can because you're at the end of the video. And other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.